Let's go live now to the National Senate leader. Bridget McKenzie joins me today on this news in relation to the Victoria and New South Wales border. How's that news being received there on the border where you live and work, Senator McKenzie?
Yeah, great to be with you, Kieran. Well, there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of anger. I'm getting calls to my electorate office in Wodonga since the announcement was made, wanting to know how people can access a permit. There's also growing anger that regional communities like the Albury-Wodonga city are being made to pay the price economically and socially for the poor decisions and management of the corona pandemic by premiers like Daniel Andrews. We've got a community of around 100,000 people here between Albury and Wodonga. We share workforce, we share education systems and a health system. For instance, you can only have babies here over in Wodonga, and it's begging the question, what does a new mother do when she heads back to Albury? She has to quarantine for 2 weeks. Does the father also have to quarantine? There's a lot of confusion, anger around a community that really sees itself as two cities, one economy and one community. I was talking to the local mayor earlier today. We're about to sign the regional deal, actually, that would make that vision a reality here on the border. Today, it's been postponed till Friday, and she was telling me that 3/4 of these residents are going to need permits by Wednesday morning, and so there is a lot of confusion and a lot of anger.
And given there are no cases in that part of the world, that part of the nation, would you have preferred the leaders, both Daniel Andrews and of course he's spoken to the Prime Minister and the New South Wales Premier, but would it have been better, say, to have a lockdown in the Melbourne metro area as opposed to the whole state?
Absolutely, Kieran. There's no question about that. We've been wanting to see economies open up and borders open up. And for us as Australians, as we learn to live with this virus over coming months, that where there is a problem and an outbreak, and this won't be the last time, that we deal with that at a very localised level with a local response. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. That is part of, I think, what's driving the anger. Melbourne is hundreds and hundreds of kilometres away. And here on the border, our last case of corona was over 3 months ago. So our restaurants have been opening, our bars have been opening, our sports clubs have been getting back out there on the field and on the track. And to see that have to shut down because of the poor behaviour of people far away and the mismanagement of a quarantine system by a state Labor government, I think is really frustrating for those of us up here who've done the right thing. Everyone wants to play their part. We've done a magnificent job as a country, pulling together and flattening that curve. Now, as we learn to live in the longer term with this virus in and amongst our communities, it's so important to not return to those behaviours earlier. This is a highly contagious virus. We've got to respect that, socially distance, wash our hands and put all those behaviours in place so that we can continue to open up our economy and keep people employed, which is exactly what was happening here on the border and now is going to have to stop.
Yeah, it's a shame because, I mean, we could see over your shoulder the cars driving over the border.
Yeah.
It happens every minute of every day, and the economy, as you said, just getting back on its feet. The footy teams play against each other. And the point that you made there about the health system seems, crucial. If people that need that emergency treatment or, giving birth, how on earth will they manage that?
Well, this is the concern that residents have. Cancer treatment is on one side of the border and not the other. Now, the premiers have said we'll have permits to sort of manage, but there's a lot of anxiety now about how do I care for my elderly parents, how do I get to my medical appointments and the like, let alone how do I get kids to and from school or get to work. So to get tens of thousands of local residents with a permit by Wednesday morning is just beyond the system as I see it. And I just think, again, rather than this one-size-fits-all policy, we need to be addressing appropriately outbreaks when and where they occur swiftly.
And just finally, is there a case then, say, for not just a permit, but, to say on some, someone from Wodonga, your car or Albury, a pass that says, look, we are from this city, and therefore authorities would only be picking up vehicles, travellers from Melbourne Metro. But if you're from your part of the world, you're from Myrtleford or Wangaratta or whatever, that that's where you're from and you're not coming from the Melbourne Metro. Is that a possible thing that maybe they could look at?
Well, I think that would be an entirely appropriate response. I mean, the thing that people don't quite appreciate, but those of us that live up here and represent this community don't necessarily welcome people from Melbourne here either at this particular time. We're very proud of how we've been able to contain the virus, and having a localised response, I think, is a lot more sensible than, again, having that one-size-fits-all policy and making people that are doing the right thing and want to get on with their lives paying the price of poor decisions elsewhere.
National Senate Leader Bridget McKenzie, we might catch up with you later in the week and just see how all of that is travelling there.
Absolutely, Kieran. Thanks.
Thank you very much. A beautiful part of the world there, Albury, Wodonga and surrounds. Let's hope that they can manage that. Obviously, a lot of anxiety right now.
Authorised by Bridget McKenzie, National Party of Australia, Wodonga.